proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and as usual, I've got Bob Savage here in studio with me.
Yes, over here squinting. I got dilated at the eye doctor this morning, so I can barely see Andrew.
Yeah, when I walked into the studio, Bob had like maybe the darkest sunglasses I've ever seen, and I wasn't sure what happened, but he was walking around, and he didn't bump into anything, so we're at least safe over here.
Because I was sitting. I try to walk as little as possible. I have never been dilated this amount. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So for those of you who might be joining us here on the show, I want to just give you a brief outline of the format we've been following. Mondays are statewide issues and current news. Tuesdays are with Kevin Wilson. We do our Talk of the Town. We talk about local issues across New York State. Wednesdays are White House Wednesdays. We talk about national issues. Yesterday, we actually had somebody running for president on the show. So if you missed that, jump back onto YouTube, search Andrew C. Hollister, and you can pull up that interview. And that brings us to Thursdays, which is things that maybe we missed throughout the week. So we're going to talk about some stuff today that is pretty centered on city of Rochester, whereas that's where I live. But this issue could happen at home for you, wherever you are in New York State. So we're going to talk about that. And then Fridays are our fake news Fridays, where we talk about regular topics, but then we bring up news headlines, and you guys get to try to decide and figure out, is it fake news or not? So with all that being said, I want to give you guys a brief introduction to today's discussion, and that is going to be about the Rochester City School District. There has been issues with the district for years and years, and I want to give you guys a little bit of background where I'm coming from. I graduated from the Rochester City School District. I went to Franklin High School and then Wilson High School. I actually graduated from Wilson. I still live in the city today. I've lived in the city my whole life, and I pay city taxes today. So for me, that's kind of important to me. I pay pretty close to $4,000 a year in city taxes, so about $350 a month. I currently don't have kids in the district, but it's important to me. I'm a voter. I pay the taxes. I think it's important, and I'm sure any of you listening to the show who have students in the district, it's really, really important to you. So for those of you who aren't aware, well, actually, before I give more background, I want to introduce, we brought a guest in on the show. We have Angie here, who is an RCSD teacher. You teach fourth grade, yes, I believe.
Correct.
Yep. So the reason I wanted to bring Angie in here is I think it's really important for us to hear what's going on from the inside. And the reason I say that is I see people all over social media speculating as to what's happening in the school district. I see people coming out and even like attacking teachers and their salaries on social media, which I think the teachers have probably the absolute least amount of say, not only what's going on with the district as a whole, but even in their classroom. I feel like, Albany's centralized control has really kind of taken away, the ability to structure a lot of curriculum and things like that. So I wanted to get the teacher's perspective on this whole entire thing, especially with the budget. And I'll just start out by letting you kind of introduce yourself and just share with everybody kind of your experience in the school district, how long you've been there, that sort of thing.
Okay. I started in the city as a special ed teacher in 2002, and I switched over to gen ed. I still use my special ed background almost daily. For as long as I've been there, every couple of years, we get a new reading program, we get new math curriculum. different things like that. And there was always been the concern that the district is spending too much money. And then with every superintendent that came in, they would bring their own people in. So new positions would be added, lots of money being paid to them. And when we ended up with Barbara Dean Williams, it was the same thing, but we noticed that she was spending money on actually things that we have been wanting for a while. We have the Center for Youth in our schools now. There's more counselors, more teachers, just more services for kids. But the question always was, where's the money coming from? And she actually did admit at one point that she pushed the budget to the breaking point, hoping the state was going to bail us out.
Didn't happen.
And no.
Yeah.
You mean she overspent?
Quite a bit.
It was expecting the state to just assuming that the state was stepping?
Yeah, she had said that she knew the state would not let us go under. And they haven't paid us in probably 4 or 5 years. Our foundational money, they owe us, I want to say it's like $90-some million in foundational money that they owe the district.
So that I'm glad you bring that up, because I saw this kind of floating around like a petitioning Albany for $97 million owed to the district. But I couldn't find any information on like where that money came from, why is it owed, was it really owed, like that stuff. Can you give us a little background on that?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure about that. I do know that the New York City Public School District sued the state because the state owed them money as well. And New York City Schools won that lawsuit, but the state still hasn't paid them. What we're hearing is they don't have the money to pay us because they're in a financial situation themselves.
$6 billion deficit. And absolutely. That makes sense. Wow. So I want to say you brought up something that I didn't understand, and I'm glad you brought up, and now I think I understand it a little bit better. So as I was doing this, I actually pulled up the 2018 to 2019 budget on the City School District website. It is 698 pages long. It was like huge. But one of the things I found with the state's audit of the district is that the student population for the period of time that they did the audit is down about 25% in the district, but they've added 1,000 staff members, which is, so it seems like things were going like in the opposite direction. I was trying to figure out why that was. It sounds like at least some of that is probably the superintendents changing, adding more positions and that sort of thing. So that's starting to make sense to me, how that could have happened. Yeah,
and I think like a lot of those positions, they're teachers, but they're also paraprofessionals. Substitutes are in there. Like I said, we have Center for Youth in our building. I think most buildings in the district have that. So those have been added on, which again, it's things that, are benefiting our kids. Sure.
Yeah, and I think that I see a lot of people saying if this was like Pittsford schools or Brighton schools, there wouldn't be, an outrage about this. But I think, and I know some people talk about that from, a poverty disparity issue and a racial disparity issue and many different disparities in the city. But I think that the one that nobody can kind of like neglect is the graduation rate in the city. And that has been, when the most recent school board was running for re-election, and I sat in a room and I watched parents like press against these school board members on graduation rate. And their response was basically like, yeah, this is embarrassing. Like, but they didn't like give any sort of path forward on that. And it has improved a little bit. It's improved, I think, by 3% over the last number. Yeah. So one of the things that I often look at is that, like you said, the curriculum keeps changing on the teachers. The programs keep changing on the teachers. But to me, as somebody who believes very much that, education can be between the child and the teacher and not Albany and the child, I feel like the biggest issue that you guys are probably facing right now in the classroom, and you can tell me if I'm totally wrong here, is that how the child is going to learn and somebody else is telling you teach this way instead. Yeah, that is an issue. And I remember when Common Core first showed up, we had just got
to pilot a reading curriculum. And we were so excited about it. It was a really good curriculum. And then we found out that Common Core was coming out. And I looked at it when I got it. I'm like, I can't teach. These people have never been in my classroom. They've never met my kids. So there was a lot of door closing and saying, yeah, I'm doing this. But really, I was doing 15 other things based on what my kids needed. The curriculum is written for a child who is performing at that level. And in all reality, our kids are not all performing where they should be. Some are well below, some are on level, some are above level, but the majority of them are not on level.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to take a real quick break here, but on the break, think about questions you might have. Post them in the live stream. Give us a call here at the studio, 585-346-3000, and we'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, Bob Savage here for the WYSL station. So times are tight, and you've got to watch every penny. How to get maximum advertising impact without shelling out maximum bucks? Well, there's print media. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the incredible shrinking daily paper. Then there are those penny savers and shoppers, 98% of which hit the recycling bin without ever being opened. And are you really looking for customers who are shopping for used tires and playpens? You could try cable TV, 500 channels, 12 viewers per channel. Or how about hiring some guy in a day-glow orange wig to dance holding up your sign down at the corner? If you want real advertising impact with a quality message for savvy consumers who actually have money to spend, WYSL has a giant 20,000-watt signal and 2 FM channels at 92.1 and 95.5, covering 1.4 million people all over Rochester and the region, literally all the way to Pennsylvania. Get results, save time and money. Call us, get on board, and start growing for 2020. 346-3000 or WYSL1040.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and
last spot,
Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. I have Angie with us today, who is from the Rochester City School District. And I want to read something that was said by New York State Budget Director Robert, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. Robert M. Robert M. says that we need to address the chronic mismanagement and underperformance facing the school district. This was in response to talking about the audits that they had done on the funds spent in Rochester City School District, their $30 million deficit, which seems to have grown to even more than that now, right? It's in the 60s, I think.
The last number I heard was like $64 million.
Well, I think that's what data is. The superintendent data is projecting that if the current problem is unaddressed, it's going to balloon to 64.5 million, which is look, if your boat is leaking and water is coming into the boat, you find the source of the leak and you stop it.
Yeah.
So the problem is that they're overspending. Apparently, they haven't stopped overspending, or the deficit wouldn't grow. So I'm somewhat at a loss to understand. You think that? What do you think about the characterization from the state of mismanagement?
They're correct. And people want to throw blame, but at the end of the day, we all are very clear that this was not Superintendent Dade's doing. The issues
couldn't have been. He just got here.
Yeah, the issues that teachers, staff are having is his decision to cut all these positions. But the previous superintendent especially admitted she was pushing the budget past its breaking point. And the board approved all of this. Every single thing she wanted to spend. They said, okay, go ahead, spend it. And Cynthia Elliott even admitted that they made mistakes. But I mean, the way they're going about it, like my first thought would be, if I was Dade and I realized this huge budget shortfall, my first thought was, who can I get rid of from central office? We have the most updated list of staff there has almost 500 people working down there.
Isn't a lot of that stuff mandated, though, by the Department of Education and by the state?
In central office?
Yeah. No, aren't those positions required? No.
What's in the schools is what's required. There's deputy superintendents of everything. There's people. It's ridiculous the amount of people that are down there. There's someone that's down there just to make schedules for schools. I don't know how many people are doing that, but schools are capable of making their own schedules. They shouldn't have to pay someone extra to do it. And that office, that whole building should have been taken down to a skeletal crew right away.
500 people working in administrative offices.
According to their latest update, their list, yeah, there's nearly 500 people down there.
So we've had this rotating, revolving door of superintendents through there. I can't remember how many it's been. I've lost track.
Yeah, I don't even know.
It's like basically one a year or one every 2 years. And what you seem to be saying, Angie, at the beginning of the conversation was every time a new superintendent comes in, they add staff, but the old staff remains.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an issue. And the state audit showed that, and I forget what the time period they looked at. I think it was over 10 years that 1,000 new jobs had been added over that time period. But the enrollment was down 25%. Now I did look, actually I've got an image I think here for you guys. I'll post up, that does show, okay. So it looks like they went back as far as, 2013 or 2012 here and shows, this graph basically shows the amount of students dropping pretty steadily. Last year this school year was projected to be a little higher. I don't know if it was or not, but it was the only year since then that enrollment could be up. So that sort of thing is concerning. This would be like, and I run a small business. I've got employees, I've got customers, and it would be the equivalent to sitting there and going, hey, we've lost 25% of our customer base, but we're still hiring, and in some models that could work if you had a way to increase profitability, but the district doesn't deal in profit. There's no, the only way that they can really increase their profitability, which clearly they're running a deficit, would be, and people don't like hearing this, but to raise taxes. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I know that being a graduate of the city school district, I have many teachers that I've kept in touch with. I actually help do a couple of the programs I'm involved with a little bit. I try to fundraise for them outside of the district because even the programs that I think are really good in the school district, the district doesn't fund, which to me is unfortunate, but I think they're important. So I usually put up some of my own personal money because that's what I believe in. And as I've talked and been a part of this, I've gotten to meet even more teachers, and I spoke to some of them recently, and a lot of them were really afraid to talk about the issue. So I want to say thank you so much for coming here, and ask you, are you nervous about talking about the issue?
No, because it's not going away, and not talking about it is not going to help us. Yeah. At the end of the day, the board can do what they want with this proposal. They can vote for it if they want to. It's not going to make things better.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about a state board coming in and basically putting the school board out of business?
I think I would be okay with that. I know a lot of teachers might not be, but the board we have now is not doing right by our kids. They're not taking care of the people that they were elected to serve.
I just looked it up. 26,000 students in the district.
Yeah.
To have a central office of 500 people is insane.
Yeah.
It should be a central office of maybe 100.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and that number is, because I know when I ran for state council, I think we were at like 34,000 students. And that was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it is definitely.
You're a little older than that, Andrew. It's more than a couple of years ago now. Come on.
Well, no, I ran for state council.
Oh, I thought you meant when you were in school.
No. Well, I was in school. I graduated in 2007. So it hasn't been that long, but it's been, over a decade.
Yeah, that is a precipitous drop. So 155 teachers are getting let go.
Some are getting let go, some are getting displaced.
Okay, 155 positions eliminated. Do we know, are there any of those 500 jobs in the administrative office targeted for cuts?
I don't think so.
None?
There were two, I think they were deputy superintendents that were let go, and then somebody was rehired to do both jobs. So they hired someone new to come in and do both jobs. And it didn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
You maybe saved 2 or 3 teachers with that.
Yeah. I pulled up just an article on Rochester First. They say 18 administrators, but they don't know anybody coming from central office. So those are probably from the actual schools. 168 teachers, 38 paraprofessionals, and 63 civil service hourly employees, which I don't know what that is.
Those might be like secretaries. I know that some secretaries and some custodial staff were lost, so it could be those, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
And that was only the first round of layoffs. And in the past couple of days, I've heard 2 speech language pathologists, I believe, were let go from 57 yesterday, and 2 were let go. 2 teachers were let go from another school the day before, and I can't remember the number of the school. So there is more coming.
Yeah. So, a question that I see circulating all over is, should somebody be going to jail for this? And if so, who is that? Who's that person or group of people? Like, do teachers feel that somebody broke the law in this situation and jail time's appropriate? And obviously you can't speak for everybody, but you probably have a better pulse on it than I do or Bob does. That
I don't know. A couple people in the beginning, were throwing around, was money embezzled, but it doesn't seem that way. Again, I don't know. I know that we are being investigated heavily.
Yeah.
But I think really it was more like a moral crime, if you want to.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and this is, once again, people look at this issue from many different angles. The first is the education of students, and the second is probably the expense associated with it, because they're both so tightly tied together. I think that people are right. If this was another school district, but there was a 96% graduation rate, they would be like, oh yeah, it's because, we have a high graduation rate.
Because of excellence.
Costs a little extra. But in this situation, I think people are like, wow, we paid the extra. We didn't get what we thought we were getting.
Do we ever?
And now we're paying more, maybe. So, yeah, no, I get it. All right, guys, we're going to take another break here on Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a moment.
We send a shout out along the network line to our affiliates, WENY in Elmira, 1230 in Elmira, 1450 in Corning, 96.9 and 103.3 FM as well. And our friends up in Wayne County at WAC, WACK 1420 and 96.9 now on the FM dial. We'll be back.
more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have a nice moonlit sky at times, also a few passing clouds. That'll be the full cold December moon shining out there tonight. Heading into your Friday, a nice day, partly sunny, warmer in the 40s. Some rain will arrive overnight Friday. Looks wet on Saturday, but that rain may end as a bit of wet snow Saturday night into Sunday morning. I'm Rich Cadelia on WYSL.
I want to talk to all the large and small business owners listening today. You know how hard it is to make a profit. And when you're ready to use some of those profits for your company retirement plan, you want to know what's the best plan for you, the employees, and your company. 401k plans, simple and SEP plans, new comparability, profit sharing plans, or a good old defined benefit plan. What's the best way for you? I'm Alan Ginsberg at AM Ginsberg Advisory Group, and I've been providing retirement planning advice to business owners for over 30 years. It's time to start providing more for your own retirement. Call me, Alan Ginsberg, at 585-377-4720 to arrange a no-cost, no-obligation initial visit. That's 585-377-4720. Because when life happens, we plan for it.
Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors, Inc., AM Ginsberg Advisory Group, and Securities America Companies are separate entities.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Open Door is a great place because it helps you with your whole self. It's not just about the addiction. For me, it's been just getting in touch with that little boy who never really grew up. I don't feel like I have to save him anymore. I can just let him live. I don't have to be afraid. And I can't think of anywhere else I would want to be to do that. It's safe. It's challenging, but it works.
Go to opendoormission.com.
This is Dom Genova, owner of Genesee Valley Motors in Avon, your no-nonsense car dealer. Well, we're your no-nonsense truck dealer, too, selling Rams and Fords up to the mightiest that they make. And we have a shop with Master Techs open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 6 days a week, even Saturday, so you can get your truck serviced when it's not billing hours for you. You may not be used to that. Visit RochesterWorkTrucks.com. That's RochesterWorkTrucks.com.
MGM Insurance, 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield says if you had insurance industry experience, maybe an agent who lacks markets, a support person needing better growth opportunities, bring your experience to MGM. Call MGM at 585-381-7008. MGM is an equal opportunity employer and offers great compensation and benefits. We treat our team members like family. Grow your income. Grow with us. Call MGM today. It doesn't cost anything and it could open the door to opportunity for you. 585-381-7008.
This is Dr. Dina Porterfield, president of Roberts Wesleyan College and Northeastern Seminary. For the 5th straight year, Roberts has been recognized as a great college to work for in areas of facilities, workplace and security, work-life balance, confidence in senior leadership, supervisor-department chair relationship, tenure clarity and process, and teaching environment. And for the 4th year on honor roll. To join our team, go to roberts.edu.
Bob Savage here for Avon Gun. Open 7 days a week. Avon Gun's your locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. It's Christmas. Time to get your favorite sportsman or woman something very special. Avon Gun in the village of Avon, 259 East Main Street.
Company and gluten-free bakery offers a great selection of pies, cookies, and dinner rolls. Call 226-9575 and place your order. Livingston County Pizza Company and gluten-free bakery in Avon.
Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We are talking about the Rochester City School District, their $30 million deficit, which is now grown to about $64 million. There's a lot of public outrage with this, and in a number of fronts, right? Probably the biggest one we're seeing right now is teachers, students, and parents rallying together because they're cutting teacher positions. And the students are upset because their teachers are going away. The parents are upset. They feel it's impacting education. And of course, the teachers are upset because they had no say in the budget. They have very little say in their classroom, and now they're losing their jobs.
And the incredible thing is that the attitude of the district is, well, we'll go to the state and ask for $40 million more money.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's...
Why would we give you more money when you've totally mismanaged the money that's been given to you?
Yeah. And, one of the things that I've mentioned a few times is the low graduation rate in the city. And I want to emphasize that I truly believe this is because the state does not allow the teachers to teach in a way that they know is good for the students. I think that is so important. And you guys have heard me say this on the show many, many times, where I say there are really two sets of people in a child's life who know how education is best taught to them. That is their parents, and that is their teacher. And I truly believe Albany should get out of it. Just get out of it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of top-down stuff that comes from the Federal Department of Education, too, which, in my opinion, we don't need.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Why don't we just return education to the communities where you have an accountable school board and knock off all this top-down stuff? And Common Core, Angie, I mean, you're talking about this has been a frequent topic on this radio station. Common Core was not designed by educators.
No, it wasn't.
It was designed by basically textbook salesmen.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, I mean, as I look through the budget, I see textbooks as one of the biggest line items, and the reason I looked for this, so for those of you just joining the show, Angie is a teacher from the school district. She teaches 4th grade. We brought her in here to get kind of an insider perspective. And then I started reading through the budget today, not realizing it was going to be almost 700 pages long. This is an enormous budget. And I can't recall what the county's
$1 billion.
Yeah, it's $1
billion a year.
It's
in Rochester, New York, a small city of 200,000 people. It's insane.
Yeah, and
spending that amount of money.
27,000 students. So it's a lot of money. And as I look through this, I noticed this image on the internet. It was a picture of a kid with a Chromebook, and they said, "Take my Chromebook and exchange it for my teacher." And I'm sure somebody was trying to put together this a campaign that we shouldn't be spending money on technology. We should be spending it on teachers. But I looked, the district doesn't spend much on technology, ironically. So of the whole $1 billion budget, $450,000 was spent on instructional technology. And that could be Chromebooks, but it's probably also, they're going to lump in projectors, smart boards, which I hear from teachers almost never get used anyways.
Yeah, those whiteboards, I mean...
I use mine every day.
Oh, good.
But my bulb has needed to be replaced since September, and I'm still waiting for that to happen.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, we don't have the money, Ange, what can I tell you?
But what I did think was interesting is it was over $2 million on textbooks. And that has been the case for the last 5 years that I looked at 5 years worth of budgets. So we've spent over the last 5 years $10 million on textbooks. And I think textbooks are a great thing. However, the world has changed so much. You could get those digital. You could get them PDF and put them on the Chromebooks that you're giving the kids, and it won't eliminate that whole $2 million. Definitely not. But if it took a sizable chunk out of there, why aren't we looking to move forward? My guess is somebody's buddy works for a textbook company. And I hate to say that, but that's probably the truth.
Well, the Common Core has been developed by, what's the British textbook manufacturer? Pearson. Pearson and McGraw-Hill were the big pushers of Common Core.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that really irks me about this whole situation is that the budget got approved in multiple places. In multiple places it got approved. So first by the school board, right? And the school board, I will give two people credit and at least put this out there, that two of the school board members voted against this budget. It was LeBron and Shepard. Those two voted against it. Now, I don't know why. They could have voted against it because they thought they didn't spend enough and need to spend more. So I don't know what their reasons were. I just know on the record, publicly, they voted against it. That's like your first line of defense. And I do want to say this about school board, and I've said it before. We need to stop politicizing our school board. We need to have these ballots be nonpartisan ballots. We need people to run for office for school board as who they are and the experience they bring to the position, not the party they're associated with. It's worked in many other school districts and turned around education. City of Rochester really needs to change the charter so that can happen. But the next thing is, and this falls squarely on the city's lap, is the city council has to approve this budget every year. City council votes on this too. And they have rubber stamped the city school district budget year after year after year for decades. Now, I don't have the vote count, so I don't know if there's anybody on city council that voted against this budget. But what I would say is this. I would say that if you're on city council and you've allowed this to happen year after year, and this is where we are, you should step down. You should. And I feel the same way about the school board. Letting this happen year after year. Was there maybe one or two new people on the school board? The rest have been on there for 10 plus years?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, so we have almost the same city council. Listen to this. This is important. Almost the same city council is sitting today than when I was in high school at Wilson Magnet on Genesee Street back in 2007.
Term limits.
And almost the same school board since when I graduated from high school in 2007.
I started in the district. I started subbing in 1998, and there's a couple of those members who were there then.
Yeah. So we're talking about people that have demonstrated pretty clearly they're just not capable of getting this done correctly. They're mismanaging this whole entire system, but because it's been politicized, people just keep voting them in time and time and time again. And I have a big issue with that. I do. So I think nonpartisan ballots is the first thing we got to look at for the school board.
Term limits. Yep. Term limits for everything. I know I sound like a broken record. I mean, state, federal, you name it. Term limits, please. Yeah. These are not supposed to be some little lucrative sinecure that you go sit there and just collect.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Influence and a salary.
And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that oppose term limits, and their reasoning is that you need somebody who really knows and understands the job, and it takes a number of years to get there.
No,
these
opposite.
People, yeah. Well, I'm on your side, but I want to at least give them their voice too, right? And I would just say this is a great example of how that hasn't been the case.
Armando Canandaigua.
Oh, sounds like we've got a caller on the line, but only a few minutes till the break. Do we?
That's all right. We'll hold him over. Armando in Canandaigua, thanks for calling in. What's up?
Well, I mean, listen to your conversation, and the first thing that occurs to me is that money's not going to fix it. I taught in the city of Rochester for 12 years, and I coached as well. And there's no sense of community. Big is not better. It's a top-down situation where the people in the classrooms and close to the classrooms know how to handle it much better, but their hands are tied. And it's not going to be fixed by money. In my personal opinion, if they divided the city school into 4 or 5 districts that are in competition with each other, they'll get better results.
All right.
What do you think, Angie?
I have heard that suggestion before about dividing the district up into several. It might not be a bad idea.
So you're open to it.
Yeah.
You're open to it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I agree too. I think that, I don't know enough about the district, about the dividing up part, but what I do feel, and I've probably said it twice today already, is that giving the teachers the ability to educate. I think that's the number one thing.
A few years ago, there was a push to start some teacher-led schools. Our union brought in a woman from, I think, Boston to come talk to us, and a group of teachers that I work with sat down. We have a whole proposal, was all ready to go, and we sat with, Vargas was our superintendent. We sat with Mr. Vargas several times. We sat with President White several times, and it went nowhere. Everything that we kept changing and bringing to them something else, they, look at this, change that. And Mr. Vargas kept asking us, what do you think about being a charter school? What do you think about being a charter school? And it just sounded to us that he didn't want to take the chance that we might fail.
Sure.
That it wouldn't work.
And charter schools fail too.
Yeah.
That's
but it wouldn't be on his
Yeah, of
head,
course. It wouldn't be a stain on his jacket.
Hey, Armando, you got anything else?
Yeah, my dealings with administrators were always pretty positive, but I would suggest from time to time that they should take a year back in the classroom just to find out what's going on in the trenches. So too often, after 3 years of teaching, it used to be they can go into administration, and many of them would jump because of the money and the benefits, and they would lose their perspective as why they're there. So if they could rotate administrators back into the classroom, I think they'd have a greater perspective and understanding of how to educate. You can't educate from behind a desk.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a great suggestion, and administrators have a purpose. Absolutely, I remember getting help from a school administrator, but I think we got to be really critical about how many we've got, and maybe cycle them back in the classroom to make sure they're not out of touch. All right, guys, we're gonna take another break here. When we get back from our break, I'm gonna tell you about a couple of line items in the budget that I saw here that raised my eyebrows a little bit. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients PCI and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Bob, I'm going to say something that you better be sitting down.
Oh.
So,
really?
You may have heard me say this like on one other occasion, but Cuomo said something, and I agree with him. And
thank you for telling me to sit down.
Yeah. So Cuomo, when all this is going on, Cuomo asked, he said, why does the city council keep approving this budget year after year?
Oh, the old blind squirrel and nut situation here. And I agree with him on that. And I also agreed with the way that he handled, he's going after the IJC and the flooding problem along Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
I think he's actually addressed that issue effectively.
Yep. So I figured I'd start off with that, because, we've had two sets of elected officials approving this budget.
I know.
And the question is, why? Why are you doing that? And I don't know. I think the mayor probably has to sign it too. I'm assuming after city council approves it, I believe the mayor has to sign it with the option to veto. So the mayor's been approving the budget as well. So here it is. I started going through the budget a little bit, and I found a few things that kind of raised my eyebrows about the situation. I only made it like 60 pages in. There is so much in here. So I got through about a little less than 10% of the budget. And here's a few things that I just thought were kind of interesting, kind of made me ask a question, and those items are, I'm just pulling them up right here. So we already talked about the spending of technology versus textbooks. One of the things I will say about this, and those in education, you guys might disagree with me, you might not like to hear this, but as technology moves forward, more and more people get educated from home. And the idea that you could watch a teacher teach from a Chromebook from home still keeps a teacher's job, but also, reduces a ton of costs on facilities. So the district has spent at least $200 million on facility costs, not to mention things like rent and some of that other stuff. So as technology progresses forward, we should all be thinking about that. I think there's some districts in Florida that have already done that, and they've saved a tremendous amount of money, and they were actually able to prove in some instances the children learned a lot better because they could learn at the time of day that was appropriate for them based on their sleep schedule and some other stuff there. So that I thought was pretty interesting. But the other things that I want to bring up here are $1.2 million on postage and print ads, which I don't know. Like, postage kind of makes sense to me initially. I don't know if they still mail out. Do you guys mail out report cards? Is that
no? Well, sixth grade report cards may get mailed out. I know K-5, we send them home with the kids.
Yeah. But I don't know what print ads could possibly be. So that was kind of weird to me. And it was under a budget line item that didn't seem to make sense. It wasn't under like general administration or anything like that. $4.3 million on rentals. This was under the facility cost part of the budget, so I'm not sure what those might be, but that just seemed like we're renting a lot of stuff.
I think that, you can probably pick through this thing, 600, 700 pages, whatever it is, and question almost every other item that's there. And I would venture to say that there's a plausible explanation for the presence of the item. There's probably not a plausible explanation in many cases for the amount that's being spent on it.
Yeah,
I think that's what the issue is. And what this calls for is for professional financial control, somebody who really is interested in digging into this. Now, you've got a new budget person, the CFO there, and he's got quite a good track record.
Yeah, he worked for the county.
He worked for the Monroe County.
Yeah.
He was the Monroe County financial director. Yep. And he says he's digging into this with relish. He really wants to do this, and so that might be the start button that we push on this. But it's clear that, I mean, it's impossible for an organization the size of the RCSD to get into the jackpot they're in without massive mismanagement and inattention to detail. And also, I got to say, we're talking about 30, 50, 60, $64.4 million. I would be amazed if there wasn't some kind of corruption.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that really surprised me, and you guys can go download the budget right off the RCSD website. Go to section 3, page 27, and you're going to see that the district was already projecting in their own budget a budget gap. They said this time around there would be none, but as soon as 2019 to 2020, which is the budget that should be being worked on right here, there would be a $43.7 million gap. Then the following year, a $59.3 million gap. And then 2021, a $74 million gap. And they projected this in this budget in section 3, page 27, and they've got a fancy little graph that goes along with it and everything. I mean, they knew that they were already outspending what they had, and they moved forward anyways. So I just have a huge problem with it. A huge problem.
I think most people do. And not the least of which are folks like Angie, who's, Angie's an RCSD teacher, 4th grade teacher, in studio with us today, and we appreciate you coming down and talking to us
for having me
about this, because it's great to get your any more thoughts as we wind up the program here, or just general ideas?
I know there's a lot of money that's just been spent that we can't get it back, but I really hope that come December 19th, the board does not approve this plan and gives it some time to see if the state actually can and will help us, and look at central office and start chopping people from there.
Yeah. So from your perspective, say there's no money to be had. The state says, nope, you guys are done. You think that starting at central office is going to be the best way to approach the problem?
I do.
Yeah.
There's too many people down there making way too much money.
Yeah, that's also a lot of people. I'm punching the numbers in my calculator right now. So that's one person in central office for every 52 kids in the district.
There's one director down there who makes like $162,000.
Yeah.
That really doesn't have too much effect on the elementary schools. That job. And you can look at all their salaries are on See-Through New York. Just plug their name in, you can see what they're making.
Yeah. And just ballpark, or range, what does a teacher make in the district? Like high end, low end?
Between probably 50 and 70,000, depending on how long they've been there.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you for joining us on Radio Free New York. Tomorrow is Friday, so it will be Fake News Friday with Kevin Wilson, and I look forward to talking with you guys then.